Have you ever seen those old posters from World War II? The ones with determined faces, pointing fingers, and powerful slogans like, "We can do it," or "I want you." They're iconic pieces of history, symbols of a generation pulling together to face an incredible threat. They evoke feelings of unity, sacrifice, and patriotism. But what if I told you there's another story behind these powerful images? A story about money, persuasion, and one of the largest financial campaigns in history. Today, we're diving deep into the world of war bonds. On the surface, it was a simple, noble idea. The government needed a colossal amount of money to fund the war effort, to build planes, tanks, ships, and supply the troops. Instead of just raising taxes through the roof, they came up with a clever alternative. They asked their citizens to lend them the money. You'd buy a bond, essentially giving the government a loan, and they'd promise to pay you back with interest after the war. It was framed as your personal contribution to victory. And the campaign to sell these bonds was nothing short of genius. It was a masterclass in marketing and psychology, mobilizing every corner of society. Hollywood stars like Bette Davis, Rita Hayworth, and even Bugs Bunny were enlisted to tour the country, holding massive rallies to sell bonds. They'd use their star power to draw huge crowds, turning bond purchases into glamorous events. Imagine seeing your favorite movie star in person, and all you had to do was buy a bond to support the troops. It was an irresistible pitch. The propaganda was relentless and incredibly effective. Posters were everywhere, not just asking you to buy bonds, but telling you it was your solemn duty. They linked buying bonds directly to saving lives. One poster might show a soldier on the battlefield with the text, "He's risking his life. You're only risking your money." Another would depict a sinking ship with the question, "Did you do all you could?" The message was clear. If you weren't buying bonds, you were letting the soldiers down. It was a heavy emotional burden to place on ordinary citizens. They created a sense of urgency and social pressure. Children were encouraged to buy war stamps at school, collecting them in a booklet until they had enough to trade for a bond. This got them involved from a young age and put pressure on their parents to participate. Companies held bond drives with leaderboards showing which departments were buying the most. If you were the one person in your office not buying a bond, you'd be noticed. It was a powerful tool for social conformity. The narrative was always the same. Your small contribution, combined with millions of others, would create an unstoppable wave of financial power to crush the enemy. Animated shorts in movie theaters showed coins and bills marching like soldiers, merging into a giant river of cash flowing to factories and then to the front lines. It made people feel like they were an essential cog in the war machine, directly fueling the fight for freedom. It was a powerful, unifying story that brought the country together. But let's look at the financial side of this. While presented as a patriotic act, it was fundamentally a financial transaction. The government was borrowing money from its own people. For the citizens, it was seen as a safe, if not particularly high-yield investment. You'd buy a Series E bond for $18.75, and in 10 years, you could redeem it for $25. It was pitched as a way to save for your future, while also helping the war effort. A win-win, right? Well, it's a bit more complicated. This massive influx of cash from bond sales did something else very important for the government. It helped control inflation. By encouraging people to save their money instead of spending it, the government could keep prices from skyrocketing. With factories focused on war production, there were fewer consumer goods to buy. If everyone had tried to spend their wages on the few available items, prices would have exploded. War bonds took that extra cash out of the economy, acting as a crucial economic stabilizer. So, citizens weren't just funding the war. They were also helping to manage the national economy, whether they knew it or not. The government got the money it needed without causing massive inflation, and it secured this funding at a relatively low interest rate. From a purely financial perspective, it was an incredibly shrewd move by the Treasury Department. They effectively turned patriotism into a powerful tool for fiscal policy. Think about the sheer scale of this. In the United States alone, over 85 million Americans, more than half the population, purchased war bonds, raising over $185 billion. That's an astronomical sum, equivalent to trillions of dollars today. It was a monumental achievement, a testament to the power of a unified national message. The campaign successfully blurred the lines between civic duty, social pressure, and personal finance. After the war, people started cashing in their bonds. For many, this money helped fuel the post-war economic boom. It became the down payment on a new house in the suburbs, the tuition for a college education under the GI Bill, or the capital to start a small business. In a way, the money citizens lent to the government came back to help build the American middle class. So, when we look back at those vintage posters, we see more than just propaganda. We see a complex story of a nation at a crossroads. It's a story of genuine patriotism, but also of sophisticated psychological persuasion. It's a story of citizens making real sacrifices, but also a story of a government using every tool at its disposal to fund a global conflict and manage its economy. The war bond campaign shows us how powerful a shared narrative can be. It demonstrates that when a government can successfully align national interest with personal action, the results can be world-changing. It was a moment in history where every citizen, in a very tangible way, was asked to invest in the outcome of the war. A fascinating and complex chapter in our history. Thanks for watching. If you found this look into the past interesting, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories you thought you knew. See you next time.